called a friend of mine, talks to the taxi driver. He tells the driver, please put on the meter. We hang up. The taxi driver says, I'm going to turn off the meter again because all these places that you want to go, it's going to be very expensive for you. So no meter, don't worry about it. I said, how you mean don't worry about it? He says, don't worry about it. So we go to the hill, we take pictures. He doesn't just drop me off. He comes out with me. Then he explains to me about the whole area of Chamluja. And it was just so beautiful. We looked through the telescope. We could see all of Istanbul. Then I said, okay, it's getting dark. Let's go. We went to a mosque actually nearby. We took pictures there. Beautiful pictures. It was very quiet because it was during the pandemic. And then we walked through the neighborhood. It was just amazing. So then, okay, it was getting dark. I said, okay, should we still go to Bebek? He's like, well, everything is closed, but if you want, we go there. If you don't want, we don't go. I looked at my watch. I had nothing to do. Said, let's go. Let's drive through. We drove through. And then he says to me, why don't you come for dinner at my house? So I have 5 children. Come and have dinner with us. Now, at this point, he had already called his family and we did like a FaceTime and I was waving them and I was speaking in English and his daughters could speak a little bit of English and they were all excited to meet me. And I was like, yeah, let's go to your house. Okay, Now, in the back of my mind, for a few seconds, I was like, okay, go to his house. Maybe like it's a fake family. Maybe it's not a real family. Maybe I'm going to be like murdered, kidnapped. I don't know.
Fake taxi.
Who knows, No meter. What is going on, So I go to the neighborhood where he lives. And the neighborhood is, it's crazy. Everybody's outside. It's like late at night. Children, women, men. It's a strange kind of neighborhood. I've never been in a place like that. And so he says, what did he say to me? He was trying to park, but the parking area is so tight that he was like, come out. But he was trying to tell me, go out of the car. But instead he was saying, come out. It was funny, whatever, we laughed about it. Finally, I realized he wanted me to go out of the car so he could park. Because if he parked, then it would be too narrow. I wouldn't be able to open the door. So, odd situation. I got out. The daughters came down. They took me up. I'm going inside. I went inside the apartment. There's no furniture at all. It's just carpet. And so I'm like, okay, hello, whatever. They're like, Hoşgeldiniz, whatever, Turkish Hospitality, they happen to be Kurdish, okay? And during the walk on the mountain, he was telling me about, the Kurds, the Arabs, the Turks, and just telling me about different tensions between the different people. His English is not fluent. He's not fluent, in English, but he used Google Translate, and just amazing. This man was just so amazing. So anyway, I sit down on the floor and they're preparing food. Now there's no mother. There's just the children, right? So I'm like, what's going on here? Finally, the mother comes. So I'm like, okay, good. And then there's a little boy, there's a son. And then he has an older son who was like downstairs. And it was just, every moment was a discovery. I had to take off my shoes, of course, as well, before entering the house. And so finally they're cooking for me. We sit down, we're eating. And then during the meal, they get up. One daughter gets up to remove the shoes from the front of the door. She said, oh, we have to remove the shoes. I said, why? Oh, because they'll take the shoes. And I'm like, who's going to take the shoes? What do you mean? The shoes are inside your house. Yeah, but they'll take them and sell them. And this time I'm wearing these like $1,200 boots, And I'm like, they're gonna steal my boots and sell them for how much? Am I gonna make a profit? Like, am I gonna get some of that money, or are they gonna keep it? So she's like, let's take it in, let's take it inside. It's happened before. They've taken our shoes. And I'm like, what kind of place is this that you leave shoes outside your apartment and they would steal it? For me, it was just, like I said, every minute was a discovery, because I've never been to a place that doesn't have furniture. I've never been to a place where they would take your shoes if you have it outside, and then at the same time, these people were so loving and amazing and wonderful. And they cooked for me. They didn't even know me, but they took me in like they had known me forever. And then they said, why don't you stay tonight? Sleep over. Why don't you sleep here in our house? And I'm like, I cannot sleep in your house. I need to go back to the hotel. Like this. At that point, I was like, okay, I need to go back. Like, I can't sleep here. You know, I even left my bag. I went to the bedroom with the daughters. They were showing me their clothes. I was telling them what I do for a living. We were doing like a little fashion show in the living room. I mean, it was such an amazing time. I could never have imagined that Sunday morning when I left the hotel that I would end my day in the home of a taxi driver and his family, eating dinner, discovering new things. You know, the next day when I told my friends about this, they were like, are you crazy? They were like, you are completely crazy. When I described to them where I went, they were like, we've lived in Istanbul our whole lives and we've never been to that neighborhood. The police doesn't even go to that neighborhood. They're like, what are you, how did you end up there? But you know, like they say in English, ignorance is bliss. You know, because you don't know what you don't know. Like, I didn't know it was a bad neighborhood, whatever. All I know is this wonderful taxi driver, his beautiful family. I'm sitting down having dinner. I don't know if there's a murderer or a rapist or a kidnapper outside or a bomb waiting to explode. I'm not thinking about that. You understand what I mean? I'm not attracting that. It's just not in my thought process. You know, I'm thinking about love and light and beauty and growth and discovery and the Turkish hospitality. You know, and at the end of the night, he dropped me. And it's funny because my hotel was not far from the neighborhood. It was so close. And I said, how much do I owe you? And he said, no, it's okay. And I was like, what? Are you crazy? How much? He's like, no, it's fine. You don't owe me anything. You know? I was like, I mean, obviously, I gave him money. But he was like, you don't owe me anything. There was no meter, nothing. And then he started, at that point, it was very strange because then he told me that his wife had brain cancer. Like right then when he was dropping me off. He said, my wife has brain cancer. I mean, we talked a little bit before I left. I gave him some money. And since that day, we've been very good friends. I returned to Miami. He calls me all the time. We do FaceTime, with the children. I went to the house for dinner on the Strip. And I'll see them again. And they asked me to sleep over again. They're like, do not stay in a hotel. You have to stay in our home. And they are just the most beautiful people. They are really the most beautiful people. My life is all luxury and, you know, it's Sheraton Palace and Four Seasons and all this stuff. But sitting with this humble family, it was just so beautiful. It was genuine Turkish hospitality at its best, without all of the bells and whistles of the luxury life.
Good.
Thank you.
Teşekkür ederim.
Finish. 9